Welcome back to the Milwaukee Show, and today we're going to be talking about the disaster situation between the pipes for the Winnipeg Jets, as this team is tied up in a series against the St. Louis Blues, in a series that most people, not myself, picked them to win. And everyone is now acting like they are just like every situation in the world. Everyone now is acting like they knew exactly this was going to happen all along, because the numbers, everyone knows the numbers backed it up. We should have saw this coming. Yeah, every single year people still think it's the Maple Leafs year, it's the Jets year, it used to be the Sharks year every year, and it goes on and on and on and on, stuff like that all the time. And for some reason this year people thought, oh no, this is Hellebuyck's year, everything's going to go the way it's planned. But that is not happening. So let's talk all about it. But first, you should subscribe, because you'll see more of me, which makes you more informed, and you'll have a fun time watching me. So do that, and I get to be happy too. So it's a win-win. So subscribe, like this video, and comment your thoughts on Connor Hellebuyck so far in this playoffs. But one thing I want to ask you about Connor Hellebuyck to comment about is, have you ever watched a NHL compilation by Delta 27 or whatever all those channels we all watch all the time, right? Have you ever once in one of those videos seen a positive highlight video of Connor Hellebuyck making a crazy save? Comment that down below, because if I was watching this video, I would say no. I've never once seen Connor Hellebuyck make a crazy good save and become on a highlight reel, or just in general make a crazy save to win them the game. I mean, let's look at his resume. 4 Nations face-off, right? Connor Hellebuyck is outperformed by Jordan Binnington in the other ice, and of course that's the funny thing happening in this series too. But in the 4 Nations face-off, Binnington might not have looked the greatest all through the tournament, but when he needed to show up, he was shutting the fucking door against the Americans. He would not let anything in. Crazy save after crazy save over and over again. And that's how he won the St. Louis Stanley Cup. That's how he's winning. They're tying up the series now. Is Binnington is covering up the holes when they need him to. Sure, he might bleed in a bad goal here and there, but he is making those big saves when it's needed, right? He shows up, and that's what Vasilevsky does. That's what Bobrovsky does. That's what Shesterkin does. Of course, not in the playoffs, but these are what those big goaltenders, the one, Jonathan Quick, right? These are the goaltenders that win the Stanley Cup or are nominated for the Conn Smythe. The guys that when we think, if you were Game 7 or whatever, overtime, what goal are you picking? Not a single person in the history of the world would ever say Connor Hellebuyck. You know why? Because he isn't that guy. He's never been clutch ever, right? And sure, his seasons are always spectacular. He's clearly a very consistent good goaltender that has a shutdown defense in front of him, that play a very reserved trap game, nothing too crazy, always playing smart hockey, not going out there making big mistakes, right? That's what they do through 82-game seasons. The Winnipeg Jets, that is. But now in this series, game number 1 and 2 in Winnipeg, the Blues were right there. They were burning. They were burning the Jets. The Jets were hanging on just a little bit. Hellebuyck was not making these shutdown crazy saves over and over again to keep the Jets going. The Jets were playing good hockey around him, and he just cleaned up the mess. When Hellebuyck is called to pick up the phone and make a great save, when does he do it? Look at these last games against the St. Louis Blues. Look at some of these goals. Look at the last game in Game 4, right? That one play where they passed it through the corner, and he put his stick out there, and it just kind of went through his stick, and they just overpowered him, and it was a simple goal. Same thing on the next play. I forget who all these players were, but they're coming in, and they just make a nice, just easy turn. Hellebuyck is way out of position out here, and he's just like, oh well. And he just does that over and over again. He never makes these big, crazy, oh God, cross-crease big saves that you get with Marc-Andre Fleury, that you get for him between Vegas and the Pittsburgh Penguins. For Bobrovsky, when he's making the crazy saves. Adin Hill, when he's called up to that, right? Or maybe not so much this playoff so far, but when they won the Stanley Cup. You need those goaltenders to make these big saves to keep your team in it. When you don't need to stop non-goal scoring chances. You need to stop those scoring chances, not the pucks that go straight into a goalie's chest. Binnington, he makes those big cross-ice saves, those big glove saves where he has to bat it out of the air, right? Where it might look sloppy and the puck goes all over the place, but he's making those saves, he's keeping the puck out of the net. When do you ever see Connor Hellebuyck in those scrambles, right? And I'm sure it happens, so when you comment below, like, you don't know what you're talking about, it happens all the time. No, I'm not wrong. So, of course, right? It's all backed up by the numbers, which everyone's pointing out now on Instagram and all these articles about the NHL, right? Of course, this year is a 428 goals against average, horrid. 817 save percentage, literally god-awful. These are bad percentages for even in Gretzky's era, right? Like, if this was Gretzky's era, he would be benched back then at this point, right? And goals were all over the place then, right? Last year, 5.23 goals against average against the Vegas Golden Knights in round 1. And, of course, an 870 save percentage. Not against the Vegas Golden Knights, was it? Now I'm forgetting. Doesn't matter. Horrid numbers last year. And, of course, in 23, 3.44. And that's a little bit of an improvement, but still in the 800s of an 886 save percentage. Hellebuyck has been atrocious in the playoffs, and it's not just on him. It is a bit on the Jets too. But I think what the problem is that the Jets are a team in the regular season through the last 3-ish, 4-ish years have been a team that rely not exclusively, but rely heavily on Connor Hellebuyck being their main source of defense, right? The defense in front of them, they stay in the middle. They don't make any bad plays, right? They're pretty just like standard, like no crazy, like cause chances defense, right? They're a stay-at-home, like stay in the middle defensive squad, and Hellebuyck cleans up the mess. But once things get serious and games get tight and games are fought hard and people are much harder on their sticks to crash in nets, I think Connor Hellebuyck is the guy that completely screws over. And I know I'm not really saying anything new here, right? But I've been the one saying it for the beginning of time of this channel. I've been saying it for the 3 years that the O Hockey Show's been going on, that I do not trust Connor Hellebuyck. He is a bad goaltender in the playoffs. It's not just because, he doesn't show up. But look at the Four Nations face-off where he's out-dueled by Binnington. Not even just by Binnington, just in general. Gustafsson looked on fire at times. Hellebuyck he never does anything that stand out as impressive, right? What about Connor Hellebuyck's game has ever looked impressive to you? I have no idea. His consistency, I guess I could say for sure. But, I mean, you could also say his consistency to be bad at times. Like, it is crazy that the guy that can go back-to-back Vezinas, because that's what's going to happen. He's going to win the Vezina Trophy, can be this bad in playoffs over and over again. I cannot believe it. And it just, I don't know. It just goes to show that sometimes those save percentages stats, those go towards a goaltender, towards the team, not the goaltender. God, I look like an idiot. So yeah. The Winnipeg Jets, they're screwed. I think they're done for. Going forward in the series, I think if the Jets, I have more hope in the Jets than I do in the Maple Leafs to be a good team. I think the smartest decision in the world, which is not going to happen, is to start Eric Comrie, is to just do something different, right? When you're playing NHL, right? Or if you're just doing anything, you're playing freaking the darts on Game Pigeon or whatever. Or cup pong, right, on there. Or anything in general. When you keep doing the same thing and it's not working, you do something different. Even if it might seem like kind of dumb, it's something different, right? So to me, Eric Comrie would be the best decision. He looked decent enough, but the Blues at that point, playing against him, had already won the game. So he didn't really need to do that much. But to me, the Jets are doomed in this series. And I'm not surprised. This is what I thought would happen. I think the Blues have their number. I think this series, I think the Jets could still maybe pull off one win. But from, in the next 2 games, can I see the Blues winning 2 more in a row? I would not be surprised at all. I think the Blues are a better team. I think overall, I think they have a lot more guys, a lot more depth that are more willing to fight hard and scrap to win games. Defensively, I like their defensive core more as a defense team for the playoffs. I think Josh Morrissey is not a great guy all around as a defenseman. Pionk, guys like that. Problems around for the Winnipeg Jets and all the Canadian teams in general. So, yeah, that is my thoughts on the situation. I've said it all along. I'm not surprised by this at all, and no one should be. But instead, we all act surprised. Or, I guess now we all act like we all knew this all along, even though everyone in the world 2 weeks ago was saying otherwise. So that is all I gotta say. So thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Too sweet. Have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.